試合は3週間後。相手は糸志さえ率いるアンダー20日本代表。勝てば代表の座はお前らのもの。しかし負ければブルーロックは消滅する。
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our podcast.
And today we're covering the second season of the Blue Lock anime.
Yes, we took a while to get to it, but we're finally doing it.
Yes.
And this season levels up in the intensity as more of the players are being pushed higher in the rankings and the entire starting team is being sent to different groups. But not only are there big changes to the game, but also big changes to the animation. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on future podcasts and one of Pa's videos.
And thank you so much for joining us today, subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting. We appreciate everything you do, guys. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So when we talked about episode Nagi, which has done very well, and knowing you love it, thank you so much for watching. We mentioned that in season 2, it didn't look very good, like they had cut back on the animation.
Yeah.
Well, we want to clarify in this before we even start on season 2 that we were sadly mistaken and wrong, and we want to retract that. We watched an anime called Captain Tsubasa, and I found it, and Rascal had to stay with it, and I kept saying, you found it. He said, no, you did. But we ended up watching all of the series that's actually a reboot, and we'll tell you more about that in another podcast, but it's for the year
2018. They did a remake.
And as we watched the animation for Tsubasa and learned more about how that particular anime, the original from the 80s, has inspired more people to play soccer and is loved all over the world, we began to see a lot of the animation for Captain Tsubasa, as you may be seeing now, matching season 2 of Blue Lock.
Right.
So now we know that Blue Lock season 2 is actually a love letter to Captain Tsubasa.
Right.
If you haven't seen it, we recommend you watch it. It's a little odd at first because it's really based on that 80s series. You've got a lot of wholesomeness.
Yes.
And you've got a lot of things that may seem not to date because it's based on that original series. But once you start watching it, you will be hooked and want to see how it ends. And Blue Lock season 2 does a great job in playing homage to Captain Tsubasa.
Right.
So now that we've told you that, we'll continue.
Yes. And I think the second season was shorter than the first one. The first one had 24 episodes. This one, I think, only had maybe 13 or 14, if I'm not mistaken. But you will say that if you watch every episode consecutively,
12.
You only had 12. Okay. If you watch every episode consecutively, it still keeps that same momentum and energy. However, you just feel like you're being cut off a bit short. Not just because it's a shorter season, but because a majority of this season is focused on the games and gameplay. Like, it'll take 2 or possibly 3 episodes to play through an event or some challengers, and then by the end they have their first test competition or tournament in their case, where they play with international players, and you can see how they've leveled up each time, even if it feels like you're not seeing everything.
True. So before we tell you more about Blue Lock, in case you're not familiar with it, we did mention episode Nagi, and that was the movie that actually came out prior to the premiere of season 2. It is connected to season 2, and if you are new to Blue Lock, you should watch season 1, episode Nagi movie, then season 2, because all of it is canon and all of it is connected to each other.
Right.
So those of you not familiar with Blue Lock, it's an anime TV series based on the manga series by Munyonuki Kaneshiro and illustrated by Yosuke Nomura. And the second season is produced by 8-Bit and directed by Yuji Haibara. Stop laughing. It originally ran from October 5th to December 28th of 2024. And it's on Crunchyroll as far as we know exclusively. And this season follows Yoichi Asagi and the other players who survived and advanced to the next stage of the Blue Lock program, facing some of the biggest challenges to keep the program alive, including a professional team that thinks they're a joke, but they aren't. So yes, Crunchyroll has licensed the season, and the English dub is only streaming on Crunchyroll.
Yes. It's exclusively with them.
Yeah.
And while you're watching it, I will say you do get a good amount of time to have some spotlight on some of the newer characters or characters that have been in the background for a while and now get to play in the forefront.
Right.
And quite a bit of development both in the skill and the play and the strategy. And the point is getting closer to forming what they would believe is a perfect team.
Yeah.
And even a lot of them are really hard-headed and stubborn and they want to do it their way and they're kind of forced into becoming a team, you can see that amidst all of the bickering and the stubbornness, they can play well together.
Yeah.
They just have to accept being a team rather than being the only player on a team that wants to score every goal imaginable. And that was always seemed to be the conflict of the whole thing, is that they're trying to convince them, pass the ball to other people, don't just hog it, don't just take it all for yourself, or don't think you have to do it all yourself.
So Ego at the beginning of the season addresses the finalists and lets them know that at the 3-week match, that comes in 3 weeks, I guess I should say, he names the top 6 players: Ren, Shido, Tabito Caruso, Ida Atoya, Kinyu Yukimiya, and Nagi. And he explains that 3 teams will be formed based on a pair of the 6 and the choosing of the remaining filings. So they had matches within that 3-week time period before they actually got to the game that they played with the professionals.
Right.
As you said, they got to improve their skills. You got to realize that some of them are even crazier than you thought they were last
very
season.
much so.
You get to see some of them really have developed and grown by leaps and bounds. You get to see Missy isn't irritated as much by them calling him Missy.
Right, he just kind of got used to it.
And you get to see Asagi, his vision and his ability to be able to figure out where a play is going to go has just been ramped up.
Right.
And the other team that they practice or play against knows this. And so it's become a little more difficult for him to use that ability. But during those 3 weeks, he gets to improve it. And you can hear in this anime, if you haven't watched it before, you hear their inner thoughts as the game's being played.
A lot.
It's like Deku on steroids.
Yeah. And that would be one thing against it this season. And we explained already about the animation, which I'll bring up briefly after this, is that there's a heavy amount of dialogue in here, whether they're playing in the practice or in the final, well, not the final tournament, but the tournament part at the end of the season.
Right.
There's a lot of inner dialogue and strategy and thinking things, and a lot of the times they end up slowing down or just completely stopping the animation to deliver all of this.
And when that's in the same vein as
Tsubasa.
Captain Tsubasa.
And when you're reading it doesn't feel the same way because they're already still pictures, but it comes off much differently when you're watching it live. And when you got to the last 2 episodes of the season, you suddenly notice that there's a shift in the animation again. Suddenly, it's animated like season 1.
Yes.
And we thought that was a little weird at the time because it had been so focused on doing these really big, highlighted aura shots, and they been a huge emphasis on that, which we now know is a shout out. And then when it got to the last one, they suddenly started animating back to the normal way, which I guess it was supposed to mention the intensity that the other anime had. They're trying to imply that to this show too.
And also maybe it was to reflect the challenge of the U20 team they were going up against was much more intense, and they wanted you to be able to see the action. Unlike when they were developing for those 3 weeks, again, it was an homage to Tsubasa, and you could appreciate the impossible moves they were doing. And now you want to see them put those impossible moves into action against the team. So, unfortunately, we didn't know that when we watched episode Nagi, but I'm so grateful that we know it now.
Right.
And we can appreciate Bullock for being still stellar.
Right.
And paying homage to what clearly was a show that inspired this anime.
Right.
Definitely.
And at the time, that's what kind of made the most internet buzz for the anime was... the ones who don't know about Captain Tsubasa's existence, it looked like the animation just looked cheapened and they were just pictures, not knowing about it. But a lot of people, at least here in the West, don't really know about Captain Tsubasa, not even as much as in Azuma 11.
It's in Asia and Europe
and really
Brazil.
Huge. Yeah.
That's really huge.
Right.
So, the final episode focuses on Ren being in his flow state, And U20 team has been playing them for a few episodes, and they've learned that this team is not a joke. At first, they didn't consider them anything, but as each episodes progress, then you find out how stunned they are, the level they've developed, and how young they are, but they can put up a fight against them and give them a challenge. You also have the battle between Ren and Sei, he and his brother, and one wants to beat the other. So you've got not only the Blue Lock team against U20, but the two brothers are battling against each other as well. And yes, they're talking crap to each other.
Still,
they're being mean to each other, and it's like, dang. So the Blue Lock team, if you haven't seen it, spoiler, wins the game against the U20 Japan team.
To a lot of people's shock.
And in a post-match interview, Asagi states that he'll lead Japan to victory in the U20 World Cup. And Ego declares that Phase 1 of Blue Lock is now complete. And so Ren formally tells Asagi he's his rival. And you see a little more talk between the two teams, with U20 giving them verbal approval that they're an excellent team. So this season was just as good as the first, now that we know what the animators and the writers and editors and producers, what they were doing.
And to be fair, for ones who had no idea about the show's existence, we would like someone to post whether they have to be either working on the show or people who are fans of both Blue Lock and Tsubasa. You can even make it clear, like, hey, I know how this looks, but this is actually a reference, a giant, I just said, a love letter to Captain Tsubasa anime. Explain little bits of it, because these are to find on Twitter and other places, and people would have been in the know, and then that would have helped more people adjust to it and know that, oh, this is on purpose, it's not bad. It would have been much easier, but they chose not to do that.
But I still think there have been some people, no matter how it's explained, they would have said it was crap, and they would not have been understanding.
Oh, some, yeah.
But as you said, there will be more like us who appreciate it. So the opening theme this year is Bojaku no Karusuma, performed by Unison Square Garden, and the ending theme song is One by Snowman. Both are excellent.
Yes.
Also, you had the addition of the chibi segments at the end that are all humor.
Yes, they still have those.
And the opening is fantastic. I love some of the images where it looks like a kaleidoscope and they're doing.
And you had mentioned it's better.
Yes,
this more for the show.
Definitely. And we need to let you know that if you are a Blue Lock fan and you haven't found out already, on X, season 3 will be coming out this year.
Yes.
So we get a season 3. I'm so glad I didn't listen to the people saying things.
Yeah.
And we're really excited. We can't wait to watch it. Recently, you had Missy's birthday in December.
Yeah.
And some other players.
Right.
So we are looking forward to seeing Blue Lock season 3. We can't wait. And if you haven't already watched our Captain Tsubasa 2018 podcast that came out the week before, you're welcome to go to it and find out more about Captain Tsubasa, the remake, or reboot, whichever it is, and how it definitely plays into Blue Lock entirely, and how it's definitely got to be the springboard and the inspiration for this series as well.
Exactly.
So if you've seen Blue Lock season 2, let us know in the comments. Do you love it? Did you think it wasn't good as far as the animation because you didn't know about Tsubasa? Do you think you'll have more appreciation now for season 2? Will you rewatch it either in the original Japanese or dub? Tell us what you think. And if you haven't seen it, the English dub and the Japanese are available on Crunchyroll to watch. Give it a watch, come back and tell us what you think.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, weekly videos for your anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope your new year is going smoothly. As always,
you are special. Thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
世界一のストライカーになるのは俺だ。